Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Pork and Bean Show, starring Pork Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Baines. Sit back, relax, and enjoy as we take you on a deep dive into the enigma known as Sasquatch and other paranormal phenomena.
It's a hard world to get a break in, and the good things have been taken. But girl, there are ways to make certain things pay. Oh, I'm dressed in these rags, I will sable someday. Hear what I say, I'm gonna ride the serpent. No more time spent sweating rent. Hear my command, I'm breaking loose. It ain't no use me down. Stick around, but baby, remember, it's my life and I'll do what I want. It's my life and I'll think what I want. Show me I'm wrong, have me some time, but someday you'll treat me real fine. Now there'll be women and a fortune who just want to mother orphans. Are you gonna cry when I'm squeezing them dry? Taking all I can get, no regrets. When I openly lie, I love the money. Believe me, honey, that money. Can you believe? I ain't no saint, no complaints. So girls, throw me out. Any doubt? And baby, remember, it's my life and I'll do what I want. It's my mind and I'll think what I want. Show me I'm wrong, have me some time, but someday you'll treat you real fine.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hey,
Glad you made it. We were worried.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, it's been a little rough over here.
Well, relax. We got
Don't
this.
worry about it.
I'm trying.
We are here to serve you.
Just give me a second. I just got a message I have to take. Just give me a second, guys. Hey, welcome everybody to the show. I'll be right with you.
Oh, welcome everybody. My name is Pork Beans and Frank. Oh, Frank Oliver Beans. And I'm going to be the disembodied voice of the Pork and Bean Show. Actually, I'm eating my breakfast. I'm eating my breakfast. That's why I turned my camera off.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Pork and Bean Show. My name is Pork Cunningham. I'm here with my distinguished, hungry co-host, the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Beans. And this is the Pork and Bean Show, and we're joined today by Michael Colantonio, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Antonio, that sounds Italian.
Yeah.
What part of what part of Italy are your ancestors from?
I believe it's Sicilian. Honestly, it's I believe they're of Sicilian descent.
Ah, me too. Me too,
Really?
man. I've got my grandfather was Sicilian. He was actually the head of the mafia in Hamilton, Ontario for many years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was
It's kind of the way it goes for a while.
What's that?
It's kind of the way it goes. It seems. I had family that, nowhere. Like you said, they were the head, and that wasn't the way it went for my family. But they were involved.
Yeah.
Costa Nostra.
Well, you look like you'd be good to cast in like one of those Goodfellas movies or something, man. Seriously.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, Ed, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. Hello, it's good to see you. Thanks for inviting me in. Nice to meet you, Michael Colantonio.
Hey, how are you, brother? It's good to see
Hey,
you got
man.
a shirt on today.
Oh, you did see that. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it wasn't my fault. I was coerced by the host.
Yeah. Guess which host coerced you?
It wasn't Michael, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was the other shirtless guy.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, you're probably right on with that.
That's
So,
funny.
Michael, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, it's been a little crazy running around. I don't know if I'll have enough time, like a lot of time, like I want to put in here, but I'll give it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Things have been good. It's been it's been busy. We got a lot of kids. The babies are still young, so it's hard for me to get out like a lot, for at least long periods of time. So it's been rough on me, but we've been blessed with a lot of people. A lot of people are, you know how it goes. A lot of people perceive Sasquatch as monsters, and that's not the, I guess, storyline that I know. That's not the journey that I've been on. That's not what I know of them at all. So we get home visits a lot, and I don't, a lot of people are very against that. I hear it all the time. Like, I always hear people like, oh, don't let them follow you home, and oh, be careful, and this and that, and or people trying to get rid of them from being near their home and stuff. And I love it. I embrace it. The way I look at it is, hey, you guys invite me into your home and let me come in there, and I probably do some ignorant stuff, kick around rocks and this and that on accident, so welcome here,
Yeah. Let me ask you a couple things then. So I want to ask you how everything got started for you, and maybe it wasn't Sasquatch to begin with. Maybe it was just you were connected paranormal or that kind of experience, but there usually seems to be some connection that links you into this phenomenon. But The first thing I want to ask you is, were you always really, really open to Sasquatch as to who they are, or were you in the other camp and thought they were, like apes and stuff at one time? And if so, what changed your mind?
I didn't think they were here. I'll tell you that much. I didn't think they were in Long Island, for one thing. I didn't think they were on the East Coast at all. But growing up, I had a very, very strong love for Nessie. And my mom used to ask me where I wanted to go for vacation, and or like people would say, where'd you want to go in the world if you can go anywhere? And I'd always say I want to go to Loch Ness. And I would be so dead. I mean, I'm talking a young kid. I would be so dead set on telling people, I just got to get there. If you can get me there, I could show you guys where to sit. I could show you guys where to go. I just need to get there, and I'll show you where this spot is, and we need to be there, and we'll see it. We will see it. And that I don't know why, but that was something I was so like dead set on, like that I believed. I believed it with all my heart, and I still do to this day. But I like as a child, I could envision where I had to go, and like and then all the stars all aligned. Anyway, that never happened. So I grew up, and the world took over, and I started to become a sheeple, and go to school and high school and this and that, and then I turned to a life of drugs for a while, unfortunately. And that kind of sucked my life, sucked the life force out of me for quite a long time. And around 23 years old, I joined the Army. And, I didn't have a real direction. And I kind of went in the, recruiting office with a friend who was joining, he just asked me to go with him. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I was kind of clowning around, and they were like, well, what's so funny? They're like, well, what do you got going on that's so great? And I'm like, nothing, I guess. So I ended up joining, and I went pretty quickly in, and then I was active duty, and then addiction followed along with me, though. I thought I could run from it, but I couldn't. So when I got back, it was I went in 2007. When I got back, it was almost 2011. It was close to it, and I banged around for a while and had some issues, and went back to addiction. But anyway, probably about a year or less later, I started to get help at the VA, and I had PTSD, raging PTSD from Afghanistan, and addiction. So I was basically living at the VA hospital for the most part, in and out, inpatient all the time, putting myself in, trying to get the help. So when I wasn't there, I was walking these woods, and I wasn't comfortable around anybody, around anywhere, anyone. So I would walk these woods. So I was walking them for like 5 years, and I was like almost like a kid, like how you would pretend like like you got an imaginary friend, or you would like reenact things or act things out. Like I was like kind of like talking to Sasquatch, like practicing for like when I would get to the Pac West, because that's where I thought they were. I had literally had planned out to go to the Pacific Northwest when I had my encounter. So at this point, I was healed for the most part, but I was at a ground level. I was clean, sober. I was healing. I was doing well, but I was still like a blank slated empty shell of nothing. I had gotten rid of everything and everyone, and anything I ever knew, and bang, there he was, all 10 feet of him. And unfortunately, my reaction kind of sucked, because while I was looking for them, I was not ready, and I dropped to the floor. I curled in the fetal position. I started shaking and crying, and it's just the way I reacted. It's just the way it went down. I didn't want it to go down that way, but it's what happened. I think I screamed no a couple of times, and I looked back up, and he was gone. And I went back to the truck. I don't even remember leaving the woods. I don't even remember. And I got back to my truck and I called my wife, and she was like talking me through it and calming me down. And she's we just recently kind of talked about it to the public a little bit, on my channel, but she's a clairvoyant, psychic medium, whatever title you want to put on it. So she sees a lot of things that people don't see, sometimes scary looking, so whatever. So she coached me through it very well. And a couple days later, I guess this is the point where some people say I'm never going back in the woods ever again, or some people say I got to find some answers. And I was one of those I got to find some answers people. So I returned, reluctantly to an extent, but I returned. And, long story short, over time, I developed a relationship with this Sasquatch. He showed himself to me for a reason. Some people don't understand mind speak. People reinvent the wheel. It's telepathy. I was never telepathic with anything or anybody before, but I am with this particular Sasquatch. And he told me I was to be an ambassador between peoples, and that was going to be my position. And I was like trying to say no. I'm like, you got the wrong guy. Like, I'm a hot mess. I can't even talk to people like at all, and you want me to talk to them about you guys? You know what I mean? and like you got this all screwed up. And it was almost like driven into me like a nail in a board. Like, we don't, almost like we don't mess up. Like, boom, like, no, this is what it's gonna be, and we're not wrong. And that's been my journey ever since.
Can I ask you? Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Absolutely.
Give us more detail on the encounter. What he looked like? What happened during the first encounter? Give us some more detail on that.
And the year when this happened, if you don't mind, Brian.
Well, certainly, Eddie.
Yeah, I believe it was. I believe that was around the tail end of 2018. I think. It was he was huge. He wasn't. I've seen more since then. I've seen more Sasquatch since then. So he wasn't huge as far as build, but he is big. He's definitely. He's dark haired. So the only thing that's very, very distinctive about him is this, like, and I've seen him look differently too, which is odd. But anyway, he has this like gray, the chin strap that like guys wear, like they have that like chin strap beard
for hockey helmet or something.
Yeah, it's not like a thick beard, but it's just that one that like comes down and around. So he has one of those, but it's thick, but it goes all the way around, and it's gray. So he's dark everywhere, but this is like a whitish gray that goes all the way around, which makes him like, very easy to pinpoint. It was very, very close range, very close range. I don't even want to say yards. I want to say it was feet, and it was like looking up, it was like being in New York City, and like you step out of the train station, and first thing you do is like, oh man, you look up. Like it was just like that. Like I just kept looking up and up and up, and I was like, after that I just dropped to the floor.
What was his expression like? What was he doing? Just looking at you?
Nothing maniacal, nothing, no facial, no snarling, no anything. It was just there, and I wish I could have picked up more on his body language, but I so quickly threw myself into like, that fight or flight. Like it was flight, but I didn't flee very far. You know what I mean? I fled straight to the ground. And I'm a soldier too. You know what I mean? Like so that's why I always tell people, like, you don't have to be a tough guy, especially with them. Like there's, I don't know. There's so many times that I don't know. I always hear that horror story, and like there's so many I think it's all up here. I think a lot of it's all up here is that fear. Because I still have fear of them. I do. I wish I didn't, but I do. Um, it's more at nighttime because it's just whatever it is, the fear of the dark. I don't know. I don't know what it is with me, but I just have more fear at night than I do. I'm fine in the daytime with them. I'm fine.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. I mean, I'm starting to get over. It takes a while, right? I mean, being in
Sure.
the dark, it's kind of like we don't know
Well,
what's
it's
around
yeah,
us.
right. The fear of the unknown. I don't know what's going bump in the night. If you could guarantee me it was a Sasquatch, cool. But I just don't know what it is. You know.
So you're at the point where you totally trust them, but there may be something else there that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I've bumped into other things that go, that don't belong out there too. So
Like what? Give us some examples.
it would be it would be what I guess people call a rake.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, the skinny guy who eats people.
Yeah. All right, I'll just tell the story. I hate it. I hate it. Like I hate it, but I'll tell it. The first time I seen him, it was in these same woods. His woods, Bubba's woods. I call that Sasquatch. I named him Bubba because that's just what I named him that day. And he said it was okay. It's not his name, but he said it was okay. He kind of laughed it off, but it's what I came up with because, like, when you go into jail and like that big, huge guy, Bubba, is like the one you're.
Yeah. I hope you didn't run into him.
But anyway, that was kind of the running joke, and it stuck. So, yeah, this thing was there, and it was pale white, and it was a 2-day occasion, and both days it was daytime, but it was very, very overcast. You know how some animals or whatever come out when it's overcast or it's a storm, and like sometimes they're nocturnal or whatever, but they come out more and like when they're not supposed to. I assume it was something like that. The first time I saw this thing, it was just kind of behind a tree and like off a ways, and it looked kind of weak, or like unsure of itself. And it scurried off to this underground. These buildings are like an old lot of set of buildings and old federal buildings, and it went into this like what's like a cave entrance, but it's not a cave. It's just a big huge opening of rubble, and nature took over it. So I'm assuming it lives down under those buildings somewhere. So that time it took off. So the second time I was avoiding that place, but the next time I was over there, I seen it again. It was the same type of weather, same type of situation, and this time it looked a lot stronger. Like it had been, I don't know, but it wasn't as weak or unsure looking as it was last time. It was muscular. It had these like veins on it, like pulsating, and it looked ready for whatever this time. Where it was standing, I had just come from. Exactly where he was standing. And it took me about 20 minutes to get through the brush. I was like, climbing over down trees, rolling over them because some of them were so big, like there was thorns everywhere, that kind of crap, And this thing charged and made it across there in no time. I remember it was pulling off it was like grabbing trees like this, like, and leaping like a frog, like pulling itself and thrusting forward to like stuff that I can't do. It wasn't moving through that brush with a hard time at all, not like me. And I have no doubt in my mind it was coming to destroy me, for lack of a better word. I don't want to get into detail because I just shiver at the thoughts, but it was terrifying. You
think it was the same creature both times though?
Yeah, Yeah.
Okay, so
'Cause I'll tell you why in a minute, but yeah.
I'm just wondering though. Like, let me. I'm just had a thought occur to me. So the first time you saw it, you obviously didn't expect it, right?
No, well, neither. Yeah.
But the second time you saw it, you had some fear because you obviously didn't want to go back to that area. I wonder if it gained strength because of your fear.
Yeah, there's a
what I mean?
couple. Yeah, there's a couple there's a couple of thoughts in my mind. Like I revert back to like Lestat or whatever in that vampire movie, how like they would get weak, but like they would like eat rats and whatever, and they would like get stronger. Or like vampires, how they feed and they get stronger. Like it almost like was similar to that.
Yeah.
How like
I'm thinking more like it got stronger because of your fear.
Yeah, it could very, I mean, that's as good a guess as any, for sure.
It just kind of rings true to me. So what is the
I believe it.
Continue if you feel comfortable, but what does a rake look like? Because I mean, we had somebody talk about them on another show here, but I've never heard of them before that. What do they look like and what are they?
I'm anything but comfortable with this, but I'll continue. Some people call them crawlers. They look like a humanoid but naked. I didn't see like a part on it, like, you know, more maybe almost like a gray, I guess, but not, you know, more human, way more human looking. But they're just, well, I don't know about it. I can't say they. I can just tell you this one. It was very pale, but I could see every vein in it, like, and it had a lot of veins, and it was almost like they sat on top of the skin. And they were like different colors and like, and almost like there was like you could, I want to say like you could see the blood like coursing through it or something, you know, like almost like fluorescent, if you will, or like very colorful at least. And bald, you know, almost like if you put the moon on somebody's neck. Like that's kind of what it looked like. It wasn't like a pretty sight. Like it was like very like splotchy, if you will. You know, I don't want to say cratery, but like splotchy. The eyes might as well have been sockets. Might as well have been just dark black holes. You know, there was no eye shine. There was no balls in there. Like not that I could see anyway. It might as well have just been like a skeleton. Yeah.
Was it completely physical?
Huh?
Was it completely physical? I mean,
yeah, I think so. At that point, I think it was. Yeah, I don't know if it has any other abilities or what, but yeah, at that point, you know, I don't know where it came from or what it did. You know, how
did it look like those things behind Brian?
No.
I didn't get a good look at them, but
oddly enough, luminous. Were they, Michael? They weren't luminous. They were like physical beings.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun. That's all.
Yeah. No.
Well, okay, we can move on from this unless you have more to say, because I know you don't feel comfortable with it. But I'm just
there is a positive ending to it.
Okay, but I just wanted to ask you one thing. Yeah, and let's get to that positive ending. What do you think? You said you thought it was coming for you. What do you think stopped it? What prevented it from?
Oh, there was only one thing, and that's what I was kind of getting to. And you know, this is where the story gets even weirder.
Okay, let's continue.
But so right when I had kind of given up and just said, I had no fight in me. I was not getting ready to fight this thing. I had my thought was kind of like, oh damn, you know, like this is how it's gonna end, you know, like, and almost like I had to accept it. Like I didn't see any point in the way I was watching this thing's strength. I just didn't, you know, it was kind of like just accepting defeat before, you know, it started. And this is when Bubba shows up, and I look up next to me, and he's there, and I get this overwhelming feeling like it's gonna be all right. And he's right next to me, basically right in my ear, and he starts to scream, basically mind you, in my ear, and he doesn't hurt my ear, like mind you, my ear, and he doesn't hurt my ear, like mind you, and he doesn't hurt my ear. Like, mind you,
What's going on? How come
I don't.
A loop of some sort.
we got a loop going on?
Everybody make sure they go to Facebook and turn off the sound on the live on Facebook.
Who's got that going on there?
I think it was Bronco Kenny.
Don't know. Still going
Bronco
on.
Kenny.
Just stop now.
Well, hang on a minute, guys. You okay, kid? Oh, shit. Oh.
If I may, while Brian's work and Michael were working, Michael Colantonio, I'll get your name right this time. Sorry. This wraith you saw, do you know, or can you explain to us what your concept of a wraith is?
I kind of just looked around for anything that looked like it, and that's what came back was those titles. I don't know what to call it.
But,
You know what I mean? I was just looking for some kind of answer, and that's like creepypasta or something had it on there, and that's what they were calling it. And I don't know. Like, I could just say it was a pale humanoid is all I could say for sure.
that's good to explain. And sorry to interrupt you, but Brian has helped me to learn a lot. You bet. And I can feel your consternation to the positive end with Bubba. But a wraith is technically a spirit that left Earth in very unfortunate situation and has a lot of power. And if you're not the intended victim, you're safe. But who or whomever had caused the physical end of the being to be out as a wraith, now kind of half spirit, half being, until it gets its solution, it can't be free again. And they're very, very powerful. But so anyway, so Bubba shows up. I can't wait to hear how this works out.
It's not your everyday story. I'll tell you that much.
That's what we don't do everyday stories. If we do everyday stories, you wouldn't be a guest here.
Right. Very true.
So continue. Yeah,
So he appears next to me. I don't know from where he came from. He starts to scream, and mind you, he's in my ear, like right next to me. But he's screaming, but it's not hurting my ear. But he screams at this thing, and he might as well have hit this thing with an RPG, or a 50 cal round. The way he directed this scream at him, it made this thing that was coming full speed. It's almost like it hit him in the chest and spun him around and made him, or it, fall and flop and start to flee. And as it was running, you could see his head. I'm just kind of looking up and looking back and looking up and looking back, and you see him screaming, chasing it, and it goes and flees into that same entrance hole thing, cave, whatever that we were speaking about earlier. And then I get the overwhelming feeling like it's time for me to go. And I turn and I leave, and I start to walk up this huge hill that was hard for me to get up at every given time. And for whatever reason that day, I felt like I was up it and with no effort, and I don't know how to explain that either, but I felt like I got up that huge hill, and that's hard for me to get up. I usually fall back down a few times. I got up it like it was like, I was, I don't know.
I understand that completely. I've had that too, where you almost like you're gliding up.
It was almost like they're like somebody. Yeah. I don't know. I can't explain.
No. That's the thing, man. I get you. Yeah.
And he continued, and I could hear him. And he was screaming, and it was like how you sage your house. That's what he kind of did in my mind. Is he saged like he screamed and cleared that whole area of whatever evil, whatever, I don't know. But it was like he cleared the area, and I could hear him as I left, continuing to do this like high pitched like train whistle scream. And I still thank him for it to this day. And whether I say it out loud or I say it in my head, whatever, but I still thank him for it to this day. And I know how weird this sounds, but I'm reluctant to tell it every time I tell it, but it doesn't do any justice just because it's, how it feels when you have something happen to you that you never heard of before.
Yeah.
So you're very reluctant to say it because it's like, well, now you look like this guy, this weirdo that's only had this happen. So you leave yourself very open for ridicule.
But you're representing these people, so you have to be forthright. You have to tell the truth, and
Right.
and you're not even you're not even raising an eyebrow here, other than it's a fantastic story. Nobody does is that. Well, none of us four, and most of our audience, I bet, aren't even questioning you on this. We know it's legit.
Yeah, well, I told it once on my channel, and then Doug Hychek and his son do a channel, a radio show, and they were doing it on crawlers and whatever. And I got on his channel for a minute too, because they asked me to come up when I said, yeah, I've encountered one, and I cried both of those times. So I guess I'm making a little bit of progress here by getting it out. I'm working through that trauma, because I'm not gonna lie, like
making grown men cry is a specialty of Pork and Bean Show.
It happened to all of us, Michael.
We had Ed cry. Ed
Some of it was like, oh no, what did I do? Why did I go on their show?
No, I respect the hell out of you guys. Like I had told Pork, I guess. I had told Pork offline, and it's not to say anything bad about people or draw any negative vibes, but I've been turning down a lot of offers to do shows because the monster crap is really just making me sick, It's really making me sick, and it's just being pushed out there, and there's not a lot of I see a tide changing, and I have this huge good feeling of this changing tide, and I don't know what it is, if it's like a new generation coming in, or if it's or if it's just people starting to open up more, like to tell their stories or what, but I feel like there's a changing of the tide where that monster is going to be more suppressed. And I got a guy who had a horrible encounter when he was 14, but he's looking at it differently, like maybe we were there when we shouldn't have been. And and that's a beautiful thing to watch, see somebody grow that way and have a different
I got something to add to this conversation.
Can I just ask him one thing first, Beans, before?
Oh, no, you've been picking everything. Chill out for a little while, let somebody else talk.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Beans can hold a thought. He has memory left, Brian.
I can't hold my thought, that's why, but go ahead, Beans.
One of the reasons why the Sasquatch got in contact with me is because I teach people how to heal their emotions, including things like PTSD. And one of the things I teach them, I have a whole bunch of stuff, but one of the things I teach is to go into the woods and scream. Go into the woods and scream, and then go into a shadow boxing kind of a deal, where you take your imaginary enemy, whether it's a Sasquatch or Wraith or some guy in the army, your dad, whatever, and you fight them, and then you overcome and you kill them, and then you celebrate your success. Okay, you drop down and you mama your trauma, right? Whatever that inner child kind of stuff is going on. If you do that, right, let's say you did it once a week, you go out to the woods and just scream your head off, and then you do this shadow fighting, shadow boxing thing with whatever your enemy is, demons, dragons, whoever, your drill sergeant, whatever that stuff that made you feel powerless and a victim, you become powerful and a victorious, right? So to me, what your Sasquatch friend and teacher was teaching you is how to end PTSD, because that will end PTSD. And how many people out there, you're an ex-military, you know how many people have PTSD. So not only can you represent them, but if you would practice doing what he did, which was to use his voice, and it was just like when he did that whole thing, you said it was like he was saging the whole way. That was putting his imprint out into the world. Now, this has a profound effect inside of you, because when you have PTSD, it is you are the victim and you see the world as being able to get to you and you can't do anything about it. That's the fight or flight, freeze or fawn kind of a thing. So to me, that was just immaculate that he would teach you how to get rid of the demons in your world. And he did it, stood behind you, right, or to the side of you, and just showed you this is how you do it. He wasn't off to the side attacking in this thing. He was standing next to you. So I just thought that was an immaculate thing to do.
Wow.
And that story was for me because it confirms what I teach. You see what I'm saying?
That's beautiful.
Your Sasquatch was confirmation to me because I know it works. And to me, and my heart goes out to all the people who have PTSD from their father, from their mother, from their schools, from their military, from accidents, from confrontations with the Sasquatch. One of the things that I think Sasquatch do is they confront people who have fear in their heart. And just like the first thing you did when you saw your Sasquatch is you dropped down and went into fetal position. And you didn't run away. Well, that was pretty good. But that's the level of intensity that PTSD can do for you. You just get triggered and you go into it. But if you can wade into it gradually by facing your fears in your imagination and yelling and screaming and then fighting and killing, and you kill the dragon, you kill the demons or whatever it is in your imagination. That's great. That's great stuff. You can, if you want to. I did this when I first started off with Sasquatch. If you want to, you can fight Sasquatch in your imagination. You fight them, right? And it'd be like high school fight, like a schoolyard fight. And you fight them, and then you end up being friends, right? Because that's to break that. I did that because I wanted to have no fear at all about my Sasquatch friends. And in order to do that, I did that whole fight thing, right? Because that's what happens when you're in the schoolyard. You fight somebody, and then you become friends. Yeah, they know you know who he is. He knows who you are. You got that whole thing going on there. So, good on you. I think that was a great teaching.
So let me ask you: when you this was all like you saw everything playing as if it was like just other people doing it. You saw Bubba chasing him. You said you saw the rake. It was all played out in the physical right before your eyes, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's one thing I've learned is they're not always in the physical and or they're partially here or whatever the case may be. But that day in particular, everybody was full embodied.
Yeah. I'm also I've heard it from other people too, but you kind of confirmed something like you did with Beans for me too. The thing about how you went up that hill or whatever, or when you were getting away, how effortless it was. Because like I said, I've experienced that too. They seem to. It's a gift that they have. Yeah, like.
Well, interesting enough, like it just kind of triggered something else that they've been teaching me. So it kind of goes back to the first one they ever showed me, but they show me these memories from, I think I know when the first time I encountered them was, but they showed me that they've been around for way longer, with me. And they've showed me these memories. So your memory is, whatever it happened to you, your line of sight is right here. Right. But they've showed me these memories and turned them into like a 360 view and showed me like how they were there and what what their purpose was there in that moment. And one was like we were kids and we used to go to this beach on Long Island, and there was these huge sand dunes with woods on top, and everyone would race up it. All of us would race up it, and I'd always wonder why everybody went up the other way, because I always would beat them, because I knew that there was these like tree roots that were like almost like built like a ladder every so often, and if I jumped on them and sprung off of them and steady did it, like it would get me to the top. And they were like, well, we showed you that and we taught you how to get up that hill that fast and how to and then like I see this 360 view and they're standing there behind me just in the tree line, like almost as if they were just like kind of, coaching me along, like, like, oh, here, we're going to help Mike win this one, like, but there was a lot more to it, more down the line too.
How do you experience these memories? Or through dreams, or how do they come to you?
Yeah, I don't know how you categorize them. I don't know how you categorize it. Like, I always just say visions. But I just, all
so
I
you're
know
just kind of in another reality, and you're actually seeing it play out.
Yeah, all I know is I can tell, like, when they're speaking to me. I couldn't always, but now I could tell, like, when they're speaking to me and my own thoughts are separated, and then, like, when my mind just wanders, and then when it's like, when it's something from them, it's almost like a projector, like,
Are you saying Bubba provides this or helps you with this?
Yeah. He's definitely the one behind it all. I absolutely.
Well, I have some more good news for you, Michael. Nothing happens by accident. And Brian and I were talking about something totally different. It had slipped my mind about their Saturday podcast as opposed to the Tuesday. So he invited me on in a manner of speaking. I had no plans. I just showed up. But after listening to you, this is a kind of a reinforcement for you, for what it's worth. We here are all experiencers, and I'm blessed. I've had more validations, and actually, Brian's clan leader Ari has met me. I've met him, and been involved. And Brian said it was approved. So these are more validations for me. I've fortunately been spared the PTSD and the negatives that happen. And about Sasquatch, before I came here, mostly everything I knew, heard, read, seen was negative, and I didn't understand that. And you've just helped with more validation with your experiences, showing that it can happen anywhere, anytime, and any when. And you've been actually blessed with the same thing, that Bubba came to see you, showed himself to you quickly, and has protected you. And I find this exhilarating. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It happens randomly that we're like, just like that. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I think you guys had on Robin McCrae, and the things that she was saying, it was like verbatim things that have happened to me. I mean, bing, 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 bing. And I was like, I started tearing up because I didn't feel so alone at that moment, and it was just cool, but it's always nice when something like that occurs. So,
well, Michael, I'm going to validate that one again, because I was invited on the show as a cameo when I met Arla and the rest, and that's when I had the energy hit me and I cried. So that is something that it's really very good.
Yeah.
So, Mike, Mr. Colantonio. Yeah, I pronounced it right. So you had your initial meeting. You had your initial incident where you met Bubba. So how did it progress? How did it progress from there?
Oh man. I guess I started to reach out, and to an extent I was reaching the wrong people, because they were a YouTuber, big YouTuber, whatever, and he was kind of taking everything I was doing, getting, and using it for his own, and I didn't really realize, and I was okay with it. So a lot of my beginning journey was kind of muddled. I was muddling the line between what was really happening and what I was being told by somebody I thought was, some Sasquatch guru. And really, they were just money hungry. So the beginning of my journey was a little screwed up, but I decided to just go out and, really embrace what was happening. And basically, that ambassador between peoples thing kept coming up. So I started to do live streams. Every day I went in the field and I would do interactive live streams. hey guys, which way do you want me to go? Hey guys, what do do you see that? Do you want to, what do you, and just in the field, interactive live streams. And a lot of these people were people who couldn't get out. And they really started to open up to it. And it spread like wildfire. It spread like wildfire to the point where it was very intimidating. It was very, very intimidating. So I kind of did that for a year, and then I pulled back, and I went over to YouTube and just started doing pre-recorded videos and stuff. But I filmed just about everything, and it's not by choice. Again, it's I love like hearing about like people like yourself, or our friend Mike Bodwitz, like like I don't. It's not that I don't do those things. It's just it's not what they want me to do. They want me to have people interact and have people see what's going on. They want to show themselves to people through me. So by way of the way the world is right now, it's through video.
That's a big slice of the pie. If you feel like they want to, they encourage you to catch them on camera for the express purpose of contacting people through the medium. That's a pretty big slice of the pie right there, buddy.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to that's why it's very hard for me to what's the word? What's the word? I guess I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I don't understand like the majority of people who chase them and never see them and never catch a photo of them and never catch a glimpse of them, because that's like the complete, and I get how that's a possibility, but that's just the complete opposite way it is for me. It's almost like as soon as I step out, it's like, hey, here we are, like, and I just have to kind of follow the cues. And it's
there's a simple answer. Well, I guess there's no simple answers, but I think one of it is because your heart's in the right place, because they've chosen you to work with you because they see things in you, like from past connections and stuff. So, I mean, these other people, I'm not going to put everyone in one box. But a lot of these other people, they're not in it for any other reason other than fame, recognition, ego, stuff like that. So the Sasquatch don't want to work with them.
Sure.
You're obviously a very humble guy and a heartfelt guy. That's and you're connected to them. So
the footage I have, I could easily. People ask me all the time, why don't you take that to a TV show? Why don't you? Why isn't this on the news and stuff? No. Like it's not how this is supposed to go. You know what I mean? Like it's not. I want the right people to find me and find me by way of the way it's supposed to all go down. You know what I mean? I don't try to force anything out there. Like you said, fame and fortune, like, I just don't. I don't know. I know that backfires too. It backfires when it comes to the Sasquatch. They could read that. They could read that all day. They see you coming from a mile away, at least.
Well, Michael, they're so evolved, and since I experienced it, thanks to Brian and Michael, I've said no to more things, and they know me and my network and what I do, and I say no instead of yes. But pork and beans is one I say yes to, because you're going to get the truth here, and you're not going to get any bullshit. It's just going to be like it is. Whatever you've done is magnificent work I've yet to see, but rest assured, even with my network, I'm very picky with whom I speak. And I'm approached all the time by people who want, maybe for money, notoriety, etc., or opportunism to help their own careers. Yeah. And I just say no to it. And after listening and watching you for this past half hour, well, I don't believe how time flies. You are the real deal, Michael. You're a very good man, and it shows. And when Sasquatch and the rest, they know what's in people's hearts. And when it's good, without agenda, that you care, then you're going to be attracting more people who care around you. And I'm very honored to know you.
Well, you're a quick study, Ed.
I'd like to say that you're not alone, Mike. There's people that we've had on our show, like there's, whoops, what happened to my whole thing that went crazy there?
Yeah, you kind of broke up a little bit.
Yeah, there it goes. We had one guy on our show, and he sees between 20 Sasquatch a night. And he just sits on his car, pulls off the side of the road. He knows where they're going to be, and they've been friends and family for a long time. We have another person, that guy, what's his guy, Rensberger, that he's writing a book about going through portals and stuff. So there's each clan has their different amount that they're willing to reveal. I mean, we got this guy, Barry Webster, and he's had over 300 sightings with people who you know, I mean, Barry Webster, you probably know him. And that's been going on for him for years. So each clan has their niche of how they go about interacting with humans or the public at large. So you're just given this opportunity to, whatever it is, the shadows in the woods or whatever, they're giving you that. So I would just swim in the river. Believe in the river you're swimming in. Yeah, I think it's cool.
I think it's even more than just each clan has their own. I think they work with each individual differently, according to their strengths and whatever. Beans is right, Beans is absolutely right. But one clan, in my opinion, could work with 4 or 5 people, and it would all be unique to that person's strengths. How they want to work with them, particular to who that person is.
And Michael, you said something earlier, excuse my interjection, but it follows along those lines. You said you've got this feeling, something really good is about to happen. Well, my friend, you're not alone. We feel it too. And there's something really good coming around the pike. A lot of the things we see that are happening in the everyday world, some good things are going to come out of this.
Yeah. I've just got lately I've just had after this horrible few years that we've had. And I mean, it depends on how you look at it. It's all in perspective. Maybe it's good in a way. In some ways it was good, to open people up. But in any event, I've just got this overall general feeling of like everything is good, everything's going to be okay. And I just really feel like good things are coming down the pike.
Yeah. It's a very refreshing as well. I just want to say, because a lot of people are so dead set on proving the existence and finding the data and the evidence and some of my best friends are just like so dead set on this. And I mean, I pass out footprints and hair and whatever, and it's always like, well, why didn't you? I'm gonna see him again later. And that's what it's about for me.
Yeah,
that's what it's about for me, is just building that relationship and knowing them and seeing them. And, as soon as I bought, I used to see footprints all the time, clear as day, beautiful imprints. As soon as I bought plaster of Paris and said, I'm going to finally cast a footprint, that was a year ago. Have not seen a footprint since. It's a lesson.
Yeah.
It's a lesson, like, to be as if to say, no, that you don't, and I needed to have that taste of their medicine, and say, okay, I need to get back to what I do. And what I do is come out here and say, okay, guys, I'm here as a student. Whatever you got today, I'm here. I'm here to learn whatever you want to give me, whether that's, get out or here, we got something to show you. I'm here for it, and that's all I can do. And if they're not around that day or whatever, or they're minimal, cool. It was a beautiful day in nature. I always tell people, if you don't love what you do and you don't love this, it's not going to love you back. You're going to find a lot of dead ends, or you're going to find an answer that's going to lead you to 1,000 questions. I grew up whale watching, getting on a boat and whale watching. They're giants too, and they're a needle in a haystack too. And you will not find them whales by driving around in circles looking for them. You have to intrigue them to come to you. They have to trust you. They have to be intrigued by you, or you're not going to, it's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good point.
You and I are just exactly on the same page, man. Like, I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of tracks. I only cast one. I only cast one track. I didn't even do it properly. Just for a friend of mine, because he wanted me to do it. So I did one, but that's, yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm not in it for proof. A lot of proof comes to our way. They reveal a lot of, they reveal a lot about who we are. They reveal a lot about who they are when you're not looking for it specifically. But it is all about the heart. It's all about the lessons, and it's all about exactly what you said. You know, that's who they want to work with. That's
Well, you know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
no, it's all right, but it is difficult to an extent to watch. I mean, these are some of them are very close friends of mine. I consider them brothers, you know, and they've been at this for a really, really long time, and they're looking for like that like piece of evidence that'll prove them wrong, and to know, like, I mean, to prove they exist and whatever. And like, it's hard for me to watch them run in circles and exhaust themselves, because they're good guys with families, and they're spending all their money on things, and I mean, going jumping through hoops, and it's almost like I feel like I'm hiding secrets from, you know, my brother, you know, or my friend, you know, because I know what I have in the next room, you know what I mean, or whatever, or what I can go out and see and find. And it's like, that part is hard for me, you know. I don't know how else to put it, but
how do they are you forthright with these guys? Some of them you're pretty close to, so do you tell them all your experiences? Like,
yes, and it's, you know, some of them it's changed, you know, their way of looking at things, and they're more, you know, they're more up for and open and up for things. But you can't change, you know, somebody overnight like that, you know. And
but do they hold on a second, Ed. Do they question you as like, or do they disbelieve you? Because I mean, some of these scientific guys and whatever, they just think that that's the only way, and they just think that we're just
no, it's not that they
chasing
don't.
buttercups and fairies.
They see what I do. They know what you know, they see what I do, and that's enough for them to say, shit, well, we've been doing it this way for 25 years, and you just get, you know, you just whatever. Like, there's got to be a point where somebody says, I've been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years this way. And then over here, like, okay, I'm saying that supernatural whatever stuff is bullshit, right? But then again, he's always bumping into Sasquatch. So, you know, at some point they kind of, some of them who are close with me say, who trust me, who know me, will say, okay, well, let's look into this. Now, at the same time, they can't help but go the same, you know, that muscle memory of in their brain has them doing a certain thing a certain way, and they try to explain everything away, you know what I mean? They try to find that reasonable explanation for this or that, or, you know what I mean? And I always tell them, you're wasting so much time. You know
what I was thinking the other day? You can't prove these guys with science, because our science is like, you know, that old Chinese calculator with the little round balls, and it was like about 6 rows of them, and you move them here, there, or whatever. You know that thing? That's like our level of science, or our level of attacking this problem with them. Because they are so far above us, you cannot prove it with our science. So it's
a lot of people are going to kill me right now for this, but I'm sorry if you're one of my data friends, you know, science guys, but I'm sorry. When I find their hair, when stuff like that, I bury it. If I find it, I go and I bury it somewhere, you know, I hide it. I don't take it in for DNA testing. I hide it because I don't want it to be found by the wrong people. And that's just the facts. Like, I already know if I go and I DNA test it, that's not going to do anything but cause problems. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything but cause problems.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is that if you reveal where you're going and whatever, like, people are they're just not going to look at it from a heart-centered, you know, like teacher-student loving relation. I'm getting energy, student relationship, like that we share with them. They're going to want to go in there. They're going to want to do their shit. They're going to want to put game cams up. They're going to want to track them. They're going to want to infringe on their you know, disrespect them, and maybe even shoot them or something, you know. So I
have like a method. I I don't ever say where I am. If I make up names for the locations, I go to a lot. Some people have like 1 or 2, 3, 5 spots. I go to hundreds. I love switching it up. I love the new excitement. I love seeing new things, and I do have my home base here and there, like Bubba's area or whatever, but I love going to different spots. From the Catskill Mountains to down here on Long Island. I was in the Adirondacks the other day with some guys. But anyway, yeah, I make up names for the locations. And then if I do have a sighting, like at home, like if I have, especially if it's at home, or I have a sighting, I don't post that right away. I never, if I'm posting something like that, I never post it right away because, it's while I know they won't be caught or like nobody's gonna go catch them, by off guard. It's like I feel like it's my way of doing my part in keeping them protected. You know what I mean?
They know that, and that was my observation. If you bid me, because Brian has really helped me with this. I knew so little about Sasquatch, again, as I said earlier, but I observed something you said, and that's why Sasquatch can't be fooled, because they already know before you do, really.
Yeah.
Because they're not locked into our time frame. And as I've learned from Brian, the past, present, and future is all melded in to one synchronicity. But when you said you went out trying to prove something and you received back, they said, you're learning a lesson right now when you tried the plaster of Paris.
Yeah.
Well, this is something I've been learning as I've been reading Brian's book and other really cool things. He approached it with gentility and love in saying that, okay, let's read the signals that I'm receiving, not just a footprint. Sometimes he was given a footprint all by itself when they walked through, but that's the only footprint that was there. And it was more, he was taking pictures, getting validations like you do in your videos. And then he was given more messages. And as close as I got in our friendship, then I started receiving these messages that I didn't need to, but I really appreciated and I'm humbled for it. So your heart being as good as it is and realizing, knowing what's happening around you with your friends and others, Sasquatch knows that and respects you even more for it because you're protecting them. They may not need protection, but you are acting to protect them. And that's commendable. That's incredible.
My client has said that they don't need protection, that they're not worried about that kind of stuff. But I think it more so it comes down to respect, just respecting their privacy and their home and their
yeah. I mean, because it doesn't even have to be protection from them. I used to be a little more laxed with the locations, and I'll tell you right now, this place has it's fenced in. It has 2 locks on it, which is just stupid. And they mowed the whole place down.
Wow.
There's no reason for any of it. When I tell you, it's like it's not something that's like habitable for humans. You know what I mean? There's no reason for it. Now I call it the locked world. And it's grown back. Nature's taken it back to an extent, but the big nest that I used to sit with them in and in the early days and learn with them, it's gone. It's leveled. You know what I mean? It's never coming back. And ever since then, I was just like, I almost gave up at that point. I almost gave up because I felt so horrible.
So you think because you were so open with your locations that actually some authorities went there and closed it down?
That's exactly what I think it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I try not to get into that side of the.
I mean that's how it is, though. They don't the powers that be do not want the Sasquatch message getting out there because it's one of connection, love, no division. Everything that the elites or the handlers or whatever you want to call these assholes propagate.
If you look on trails, you'll see like all where structures just were, and somebody comes through. At least on Long Island, somebody comes through and cuts those down over and over and over and over again. As soon as they go up, and it's like you could see there's just cut wood everywhere, and you could see where where the trees were coming into each other and everything. And if you go off trail, you see structures and you see these things, but where people walk regularly on those trails, if people don't see them, if somebody's always making them go away, it can't be in your brain. It can't be in your mind. You can't think about it and see it if you never saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's somebody in every state park, or whatever it is that's going around like every morning right after dusk, whatever it is, and chopping these things up.
You know what? In a very real way, it's more, and this is one thing that the regular cast and track people and game cam people and that don't understand, is that location is got something to do with it, but it's not as much about the location as about
yes
because they're going to come to you anywhere you are.
Yes, exactly.
And connect with you anywhere. They will leave signs at your house. They will leave signs by your car out on the road. They will do a lot of stuff. It's more about the people they want to connect with and where they show up and where they leave their stuff than the location.
Absolutely. They come right to my house, both houses, right to my house. My mother's house where I'm at now, and then up in the Catskills where we live. Both places.
Yeah. So, I mean, sadly, and, I don't have any animosity towards these people. It's just where they are on their road and in their journey, whatever. But they don't understand that they can go anywhere to the hottest spot for Sasquatch in the world. If they don't go in there with the right heart or whatever, they're not going to get anything other than maybe a scare or something, just because they're not going to give them anything.
Right. Maybe I didn't explain better, but that's where it hurts for me, is when I have a friend like that I really respect, that I could tell how much they love what, they love doing this, and they want to see one so bad. They love it. They have so much passion for it, but it's just they're not there yet. They're not there and ready to receive it, and it's just, I got to respect that the Sasquatch know what they're doing, and they're not taking them off of that mindset or off of that path yet for a reason.
They're not there to entertain us.
No, that's for sure.
They're there to entertain us. They're there to dispense universal wisdom and to help us, the people who are ready for it. So, do you tell these people, these friends, that you feel so bad? I mean, do you speak openly and say, listen, you're just not, without criticizing and without judgment, say you're not doing this right. The only way to reach them is through your heart.
Well, they respect me enough where they're going to come out with me. Two of them, at least. And the one guy's been at it, and he's very renowned. He's, as far as he can go with the physical part of things. Every TV show has had him on, all that kind of crap. But that's, they don't want to hear the side of things that we know. So, he's open to it, and he's going to come out with me. We were supposed to go out Thursday, but it didn't work out. Our kids, obviously, I don't want to say got in the way, but, things happened with them that get in the way of us doing things that we want to do. And another guy who's an expert tracker and hunter and that kind of stuff. And he's got a huge heart. I love the guy, but he's going to be the hardest one to break. I know it. And because he's very into looking at signs and things and saying that's what that is, because that's all he knows. He's known how to track, and he's been in the woods for his whole life, and he can build something out of nothing, that bushcraft stuff. And so in his mind, he's always, and don't get me wrong, a lot of times I've gone to him and said, hey, I don't know what that is. And he'll be like, that's a turkey, or that's this. And it is. And he's right. But there's other times where I just, I want to show him something. And I don't need you to explain it away, because I know what it is. I'm just trying to show it to you, I'm trying to show it to you for what it is. And I'm not forcing it down your throat, but I'm also not questioning it. I'm just trying to show it to you.
You got what I was saying though about, our science is so primitive compared to their abilities and whatever, that we cannot understand them with what we have and how we attack it scientifically. It's just because their abilities are so far beyond what we can imagine. Like I said, like the linear time thing and whatever, and the shape shifting and the the mind speak and all this stuff. I mean, mainstream science does not address those things as being real. So how can you attack it? I mean, in an exploration way. I mean, how can you attack that subject when you're not on board with any of the real elements of it?
Yeah. I mean, you can't go to therapy and speak on, anything like this, or, because telepathy is considered, you're like a psychotic, you know what I mean? Like you're hearing voices, you're like things to that effect. Like everything, including, science and schooling and everything, is geared so far away from this stuff and geared to make it look like it's, only belongs in sci-fi movies, and there's a lot of answers lie in Hollywood, no lie. You know what I mean? Like it's it's odd to say, but there's a lot of there's I don't want to say there's a lot, but there are some like movies out there with little hidden innuendos in there.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, science is not. It's not built for. It's not built for that element of things. It's not ready for it. Whether that was engineered that way on purpose or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of it, 90% of it can't be explained through our science. Yeah.
Well, Sasquatch talk about circles and boxes. Science is in such a box, like that people will be defunded. University professors will lose their teaching rights or whatever, or be expelled or whatever if they go too far outside of the accepted norms that are contained within that box. And so how can that be called science?
Yeah,
I thought science was trying to get to the bottom of things, but you can only get to the bottom of things that are contained within that box of beliefs, and that's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
Well, even when that I mean, I hate to say it, but even when like big things happen, like in the community or whatever, like Dr. Melba, I think her name was Dr. Ketchum or something.
Yeah.
And she, I heard she had this big breakthrough, and it gets like kiboshed, like everything just gets squashed. And even when the facts are there and the truth is there, there's only so much that as far as it's gonna go before mainstream social media, even social media can just destroy people in their these days,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what there's so much out there that works against this, not just science. There's so much out there that works against us.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at history too, like the with the indigenous people. They tried to shut their whole culture down, destroy all their ceremonies and whatever, because they talk about connection to spirit, to the land and whatever. The Roman Catholic Church, the Romans, burning books, burning evidence of anything that goes against their doctrine or whatever. All of these things are anything that gives us any kind of connection to spirit or connection to nature or connection to who we really, really are.
Yeah.
That they try to destroy because there's power in that.
Yeah.
And they don't want us to have power. They want to have the power, and us rely on them.
Absolutely.
So, and that's been going on throughout all of history. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but yeah, even you say power, but there's a double-sided meaning to that too. Like electric power, there's free energy everywhere, but it's buried. Whatever, like the pyramids have been buried. This came up the other day with my kids, and one of them was like, "Oh, look at all that grass on that mountain." I said, "Oh, that's not grass, baby." I said, those are just trees. There's so many trees that it looks like it's covered in grass. And she was like, "Wow!" So all of a sudden she said, "Well, what's the difference there? What's that one?" And you could see it was like layered, and like almost like how somebody like at one point went up and kind of. So I said, "I don't know how to get into this with you," but I said, I went on this like long thing with her mother and her, and I tried to explain to both of them how the pyramid. I said, "I don't know if that's the case, but once upon a time there was pyramids everywhere, and they produced free energy, and they were kind of hidden, and it's crazy to think, but Tesla had a lot of answers for us back then.
Well, yeah, but they're not interested in giving us free energy and stuff. They can't make money off it.
Well, yeah, they control us. They control the food, they control the electric, all that stuff. Once they control that, they control the people, and that's
Yeah, and the Sasquatch messages too. I mean, not only food and whatever, they control. They control us with fear. Like it's one of the big Sasquatch messages: fear and the live division, and that we're separate or whatever kind of thing. That's all part of control too.
And Brian, I'm sorry.
No, go.
I noticed something about you, Michael, that I'm in a different field too in ufology, but it's the same thing. You mentioned earlier about not really being concerned what people believe or think. You're just trying to show something and trying to get the point across before you learned how dark it gets out there and started protecting things. So, Brian, there's another common denominator in all those other case studies I've worked on over the years. When I heard you say that, Michael, I just went, there you are. He's telling the total truth.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm a big believer in like cross fields or whatever. So I have a lot of friends in ufology, a lot of friends in the paranormal and stuff, and I, whether I see it or understand it or it's a big part of my life or not, I try to really support that, because I'll tell you why this kind of happened to me, like why I really started to just respect everyone in all these fields where ridicule happens, or where we kind of are the minority, if you will. I was at the Sasquatch Festival in Whitehall, and there was a psychic there, and she's sitting at a booth just like every other Sasquatch booth there, and she's got a table and her back's to the river that leads into Lake Champlain. It's beautiful, and this woman's sitting there, and she said, I said, I never did this before or whatever, but, would you mind? And she's like, oh, okay. And I had a big walking stick. She's like, I got you, walking stick guy. And I said, okay, thanks. So every time I walked by, she was like, hey, walking stick. And whatever. Anyway, so, I'm waiting for my turn, and I'm watching people go in and out. And I sit down, and she says, I watch her talking to the spirits, and I'm, and I'm watching her kind of receive stuff, and she's laughing. And she says, well, that's relieving. And I said, well, what? She said, they're finally opening up, the spirits. They've been very, very closed off the whole time. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, that's good, I guess. And she says, yeah, well, she says, believe it or not, everybody's been sitting here judging, and acting like they don't really believe in me, and they, and whatever, however she put it. And I said, well, ain't that some shit? I said, everybody here is a Sasquatch person and has had that happen to them probably every day since they brought up that they saw Sasquatch, or says, I believe in a Sasquatch. I said, we get that all day, every day. And she said, that's exactly right. And that's what it was all about. Like, that's what they were kind of pissed about, was like, how could these people who deal with this every day be looking down on someone? And I said, you know what? I said, I'm never gonna do that ever. I said, I'm not. I'm gonna look at everybody and everything, no matter what they believe in and no matter what they're talking about. I'm gonna lend them my ear, and I'm gonna whatever, give them a little like or a little cool, good job, whatever it is, a little bit of support.
Can I ask you, was it it was, just verify or clarify this, it was the Sasquatch people who were saying that about these other individuals, or who was saying?
I don't know if she was clear at that point on it, on what kind it was, but later on she started to speak to me about like how elementals and Sasquatch love me and this and that, and I don't know where she would have got that from, honestly, except that I was at a Sasquatch festival, you know what I mean? But she started to pinpoint on certain things that that you know, added up. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ed, have you had any more experiences since last we talked?
Well, the very latest, he just said hello again. It was very nice, a little gentle energy. No real mind speak or anything, but I know I'm connected. I don't have any reservations. I don't have any negativity. Everything is flowing so smoothly that everywhere I look, I just feel humble, honest, thankful, just blessed that is everything that happened, especially meeting you and meeting, Pork and Beans and everyone else. I have nothing but good news all the way around. So there's really not been much more that I've had, but we've only been off, 2-3 days, except we're in touch every day. But I'm all the better too for meeting you, Michael Colantonio. What you've been saying only validates even more of what my experiences have been.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's good.
And we want to get back to Michael again, but let me just ask you. So I've seen a big change in you, Ed, since RE introduced us out to you. So I mean, you seem to. It's almost like they give us an inner knowing. Like they give us information, and sometimes we don't even know how we got it, but we just seem to know stuff and whatever. And you're talking about them from the perspective of a seasoned experiencer or whatever. So how do you feel different since your introduction to RE?
I feel more inner peace. I feel more inner stability. I feel, and I ask for that to the best I can to be able to be better to help elevate the human condition. That's really all there is to it. So, and thank you for that observation, Brian. I felt the same in knowing you and Michael here, that it's such a positive change. It's just I don't have the words for it sometimes myself as a writer, but it's a validation that cannot be denied, but it's so positive that not only knowing one is not alone, it's that we're in more of a communal effort, of telling the truth and being direct and honest and helping others to express themselves. And really, I don't know what else to add, Brian. It's all good, but thank you very much.
But it's just a general overall kind of feeling, isn't it? It's just like it's just a different kind of outlook and energy and knowing or whatever. And I can see that in you. So that's very interesting. So, Mr. Colantonio, you've got a teacher like myself. And like all of us, and I'm going to include Ed in there because he's starting to walk that road. Teacher-student relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what has Bubba taught you, and how do you describe your relationship in that way?
I'd say he's like a blood brother that I just didn't know I had for a little while. That's exactly what it feels like. He's like a brother that's a little older than me, that loves me unconditionally. He looks out for me. It always feels like he's there, no matter how far away he is. I've been taught a lot of things, from the smallest things to the biggest things. The one that I've learned that seems to help people the most, at least people that are out there looking for signs and stuff, is the structures, and they're not meaningless, and they're not like they live in them. People always say, why would they build that? There's it wouldn't keep them dry. It's not big enough, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's not, I'm sure there's more multi-purpose reasons for them. I'm just going to dive into this one, but these bends and tucks and snaps, it's all mathematically done. So a snap is not because the Sasquatch is gigantic, or maybe it is at some points, but it's usually snapped to meet the next tree. so it connects, and the bend is made to connect, and the down tree is made to connect, and they all interconnect with each other, and that goes all the way down to the mycelium or whatever it is in the ground, the fungi and stuff, or whatever. So basically it all acts as like an energy, like conduit in your home, and they all lead into a structure eventually, or somewhere that they want it to go for some reason. Sometimes it's into a structure, and they sit there and they soak it up, similar to how a plant will soak up the sun. They can soak up this energy and harness it. So that was a big lesson for me when I was asking what they eat, because I was always hearing that they kill deer and they eat this and they eat that. And I'm watching them walk around with the same fucking deer. Same deer every day. Every day. Nothing's happening. So I said, man, something's got to get. There's something else here. So I started to find that they can harness energy differently. It doesn't have to be by food consumption. And as weird as that sounds, it's just something I was taught and I pass along. They could take it from different places. They could just soak in the sun. They could do it that way. I've seen them tell me that's why you'll see them near power lines. It's not because it's an easiest route. It's because they take that in. It's not natural, but they take it in. Train tracks, people see them by, third rail type thing. They just suck that up real quick, I guess. It's just that's just a guess, but the power lines was shown to me. So they also showed me like one clamshell, and then I found like 1,000 clamshells, and I wasn't putting it together, and that kind of kept repeating, and I was getting different signs and different gifts and stuff, and they were showing
what was the clamshells about? Because they left me a clamshell. What does that mean?
Well, they sometimes it's gifts. I'd imagine that's where wampum comes from originally, but at that given time, they were showing me that they do love mollusks, but they don't need to eat it. They eat it because they love it. So they can have one, or they can have 1,000. Doesn't matter. They're doing it for taste, not for necessity. And that was what that message was.
Well, I mean, there are human beings, so they say, that can go without eating. Is that true? Beings, have you heard of that? Where a person can go without, they don't even need to eat food. So I imagine
it's not that hard to do. You just have to shift your energy. If you first,
I know somebody who does it, but I can't put her name out there. She is very skinny and frail. Don't get me wrong, but
here's the point. If human beings can do it, certain human beings can do it, then it's not a big stretch of a leap of faith to think that the Sasquatch can do it, because
I guess the concept behind it is like they're so large and muscular and they're always active, and but that's what people picture as something that's running through the woods every day and all day long, and doing push-ups and punching trees and throwing boulders. You know what I mean? Like this is so jumping off cliffs and what. There's so much depth to them. It's ridiculous. Like it's not just King Kong swinging through the woods.
I've also heard that about they don't need to eat food or whatever. So that kind of that kind of addresses like the aper guys who say, well, an animal. Well, they say an animal. We know it's not an animal, but I'll talk to it from their perspective. An animal that large. They have to eat. What do they eat? Kind of thing. Right, well, right. Obviously they don't have to eat.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they don't. And I can't. Again, we'll get back to what we said earlier. I'm not trying to make a blanket statement because I don't know. I can only tell you what I was told, and then you take it from there. I'm not saying in Florida they don't. They don't eat snakes or boars, and in California they don't club deers. I don't know. I have no idea.
People have definitely observed them eating, so they do eat. But
I know they eat because I give them.
whatever is
Right.
the thing.
Right. That's what it boils down to. Is it a necessity, or is it because of taste? I mean, there's people who are vegetarians, you know what I mean? Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm a red meat eater, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I eat meat all day. I eat chicken, I eat cow. I don't know why it is that if a Sasquatch or something mutilates like a cow or a lamb or something, whatever, it's the end of the world. It's like, oh my God, did you believe what they did? And I don't know, don't we do that all day long? Like all day long on a mass scale? Like on a mass scale? Like
Yeah.
We got a good comment from Renee Busick. She says, every time Brian does this show, I feel Sasquatch coming in. I feel them around me. I always feel and get goosebumps. That's not the only time we've heard that, but that's pretty amazing to hear that feedback.
that's
Yeah,
great.
but it's not just me.
Sasquatch come when we you know.
I think it has to do with the live stream though. Like I think the live stream allows that kind of access, because I have only heard it. I'll just talk for me. I've only heard it when I've live streamed. But that's good. It's good when people are honest like that, and it's great.
Michael, can I ask you a question?
Yep, go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just a quick question. Do you feel more comfortable now and more positive than you did at the beginning of the broadcast?
Yeah. I always get a little anxious and nervous and reluctant. It's just a lot of doubt and things like that. And I don't know what it is, but I let myself be my own worst critic, and I start to beat myself up a little bit, and
we all do.
I start to look at things and reasons why not. And, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I just do it a lot. And yeah, I don't know. I did a podcast last night, and it was just, I was on the spot, but I did one. I've been helping this guy build his channel. He just started like a month ago, and I've been trying to get some guests on and stuff for him. And people. I've been in the field a while. I know a lot of people. A lot of. I think I reached out to Brian about it at one point, but it's just. So he asked me to come on. I had introduced him to Doug Highcheck and Mike Patterson, some other people, and so Doug was on last night. So he brought me on to surprise Doug. So he knew it was me, though. He knew it was me. I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
Well, you went well. It's fine. I got a yes out of it. And some of these other people that pull off these, podcasts or radio programs, or, we've all been on TV, radio, etc. There's a degree of, you sound definitely introspective enough where you can smell a rat from a mile away. And being military and going through everything you went through in Afghanistan has made you much more astutely aware and observant of others. And what you said earlier today, I totally concur with.
That hypervigilance. This is just kind of off topic, but when I was going through my healing process or whatever, in PTSD, whatever, inpatient, I was doing like individual therapy, group therapy, all sorts of stuff, really, really deep, deep trauma work. And they were like, well, what do you want to work on? I said, everything. I said, except the hypervigilance. I said, I don't, I said, if there's a way to fix that, don't fix it. I said, I love it. I love seeing, I love my head being on a swivel like that, where I could pick up everything and any little thing that moves. And, I don't know why, but I love it. Like, it makes me comfortable. Like, I'm like, nothing can pop up on me and surprise me, and, Sasquatch did.
Is that a taught thing, or is that just survival?
So
in a war kind of situation.
Yeah. When you're in combat, it really kicks in. The enemy over there is very good at hiding IEDs. So they're called the improvised explosive devices. So they come in any form, any which way, and they're buried, and or a piece of a curb is taken out and put back. And so basically you have to watch everything and everyone, because there's no guys in uniform on the other side, and they use kids, they use women, they use everything, to anything and everything. They know we kick cans when we walk down the street. They'll put a bomb in a can. You have to see everything at all times, and then you have to study everything at the same time. And then, so when you go down the same way the next day, or on the way back, you notice right away if something's different. And even if it don't make sense or don't seem big, you see something different, you say something. And a lot of times that's where it's buried or hidden, or whatever the case. And so that's pretty much, I think, where mine came from. And then so I don't know, but it seems to work out pretty well in the woods, because if anything seems off or different or whatever, even from when I last scanned the area, like if I turn that way and then look back again, like it's like I noticed something different.
Yeah. What abilities have you noticed the Sasquatch have that are talked about, or maybe not talked about, that you know?
Well, people talk about cloaking a lot, right? But to me, it's more like I'm big on trying to tell people to stop looking for Patty. Like, you're not gonna always see one walking independently, and away from the brush and all that. I'm big on saying, don't separate them from the forest. Put everything in one box. The Sasquatch are the forest. So when you say abilities, like, to me, they're like, they told me light bending at one point, but they can really bend anything and kind of mesh into anything, it seems. Like, they mesh right into the trees, they mesh right into the ground, they mesh right into everything. Is kind of like they're able, like, the way I described it is like, when you weld metal and it just kind of like melts into stuff. It's kind of like, it seems like that's kind of what they're able to do, is just kind of like melt right into whatever they're around, whether it's a rock or a tree or whatever. So that's why when people are like, oh, I saw a tree stump and it looked like a Sasquatch, and then whatever, maybe it was, maybe it was, and then it wasn't, but that's just kind of how it seems to go with them, is they can. So I think they can kind of bend a lot of things, it seems like that's what the most recent lesson has been, is they're trying to teach me how they bend things. They started with light. They put a light wall, basically a light wall, like, the sun should only come down in a couple spots, but it was like brought down in this wall around the whole perimeter. And there was just beams, almost like a jail cell, for lack of better description, but it almost looked like a solar jail cell. There was like bars of light coming down in all these different directions.
Well, I have a question. You actually know quite a bit about the whole thing, the Sasquatch community and the YouTube and all that, and they've sort of insinuated or asked you to be an ambassador, and you're not the only one that they've used that term ambassador. There's a group on Facebook called the Ambassadors of Sasquatch. So that's part of the thing. Could you back up perhaps and give us a big picture of what the Sasquatch are doing and where do you think this thing is heading? Because obviously they have an agenda here with so many channels and so many,
Well, you have to kind of, you got to weed through, like he was saying before, Brian was saying about, who's there for the wrong reasons and who's there for the right ones. And I don't waste my time too much on who's who, but I do believe that, people like to put the idea of how many Sasquatch there are, and there's so many sightings here and there's so many sightings there. My belief and my understanding is that there's one for each one of us. At least there's a teacher for each one of us. So if every last one of us could become open-minded and raise our consciousness, or however you want to put it, there would be one waiting for every last one of us, and we could be taught and we could be bettered. And I think that that's a hope one day down the line for them, that we will kind of wake up and get right and get back to, you know, their way of living, which is so freeing and peaceful, and, you know, without so much hate and violence and you know, all of it, all of it. I don't know. I don't have any big picture answers. I just have a lot of faith in them and a lot of trust that they know what they're doing. I could tell you the first vision I ever saw. I say vision, but I don't know. I don't know what they're called. But the first vision or whatever I was shown by Bubba was, excuse me if I cry, 'cause I don't know why it makes me cry when I say it. But anyway, so we're walking down what looks to be like a main street of some town. I can't really see the town itself. I could kind of just see the people on the side of the street, almost like a parade going down Main Street, you know, for just something like St. Patty's Day or something, you know, not like the hugest parade in the world, but like a town parade. And it's just me and him, and everyone's standing there, and they're not loud, you know, it's not like it's loud. Everyone's just waiting, and we start to walk out, and he grabs my hand. He grabs my hand, and we hold hands, and we start to, and we start to walk down, and you start to see all like people's jaws drop and stuff. But long story short, we're walking past everyone to show them at that point, like, I guess there was some kind of grand, you know, I don't want to say grand opening, but there was some kind of like mass, like, knowledge passed out, or some kind of unveiling, an unveiling of some sorts, and we were basically putting like the stamp on it for our area, and showing them that we were connected, and we have been, and it's possible, and nobody should be scared, and that type of thing. And we walked down Main Street together holding hands, and it was not loud, it was not, you know, people screaming or anything. It was just people watching us in awe and jaws dropped. And yeah, and I believe we were just, you know, that's kind of what we're waiting for. And I don't have a time frame on it, but I was a little bit older. I had some gray in my hair. I don't know if I'm 38 now. I don't know if I'm 40 at this point, if I'm 55. I have no idea. But all I can hope is that that does play out the way I saw it.
You're kind of seeing it like at some point we're going to be walking hand in hand with them as brothers again. That's the
yeah.
And it'll be celebrated, right? It'll be celebrated, like, you know.
Yeah, because people always ask me, like, if you could talk to them, like, ask them this, ask them that, ask them that. I'm like, you know, it's not Siri, you know, and but so at one point I said to him, I said, you know, where is all this going? But I was asking for me, because I was like, you know, what do you want with me, type of thing at this point, you know. And it was in my early days, but I'm like, I kept saying, like, you get the wrong guy. I'm like, what do you want with me? And like, I you know, one of the things that was always said to me was that I was a warrior that knew my peace, and that was just something that was very, very valuable, and I didn't have to know why. But I guess I needed to have some kind of like a peaceful side to me, but still have the strength of a warrior, I suppose. I see to an extent now why that's important in this thing. You know,
Yeah.
At least my purpose, what they need me for.
I think warriors with peace in their heart or whatever are very important these days. We have to be warriors in a different kind of way, you know, not warriors where we go and attack and infringe our beliefs and go around killing people or whatever. We have to be warriors for truth, but just be just as strong, right?
Yeah,
that's what I see in that. Anyway, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
actually, I think that's the best description of the big picture. That is the big picture, hand in hand, Sasquatch and humans.
Uh, honestly, guys, that there's a few things I've said here that I usually bawl out crying at, and I haven't. So I'm definitely comfortable with you guys, or something. You guys are bringing some kind of strength to me, so I appreciate that.
Can you feel the energy right now? I can.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There was an observation that you just said, Michael, that it just made me want to consider it. Brian helped me with this. We conducted an interview where I called him an expert during our interview, and he said, "No, I'm an experiencer." And when you said vision, you said it with a question mark, not knowing another word. The first word that came to my mind was your experience with Bubba.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Yeah, for sure. The only reason I get so tied up on it is because I always want to explain things to the best of my ability. And when people ask me something, like I'm like, wow, all right, they really want to know something that I've been through, and it's like little old me, you know what I mean? But so I always try to give them my best. So I get, sometimes I get hung up on things like that too. Like if I don't think I know the right terminology, or I'm not good enough, I don't know how else to put it really, but I guess I care and I want to portray it the right way,
It shows.
When you reach out to people, have you ever seen any other people get a eureka moment and have their life changed and kind of
I've taught I don't want to say I've taught, but I've shown a few people what I would do in the beginning and what they could do to get started. And some people even from their backyard. A couple of people are disabled, but they're beautiful people with hearts big as anything. And or other people I've taken directly out in the field. I've had some of my subscribers. One of my subscribers from Alabama a while back, he's in the comments, oh, my vacation's coming up and da-da-da. You can go anywhere in the world, And so I gave him my phone number. I was talking to him. I said, well, where do you want to go? He's like, oh, I could do this cruise, or I could go, to the islands and Bahamas. And blah, blah. I said, oh, that's cool. Yeah. He's like, well, I said, well, what do you want to do? What's your dream? He said, I would like to go in the field with you. I said, oh, stop. He's like, no, I'm dead serious. I said, well, let's go. If that's what who am I to tell you no? And he's planning the second time to come back. But anyway, he had the time of his life. He still talks about it. It was 2 years ago. He still talks about it and how beautiful it was. And, he saw Bubba and his whole family. And that was the only second time I had seen Bubba's family. So he got, and when I tell you this was the woods were kind of, very canopied. And there was this one spot of sun, beaming down. It had to be a 20-foot, diameter, of just a, sun circle. And, it almost looked like a giant eagle nest or something up there, just sitting there. And they were all in it, just all of them just sitting there. And I remember him looking at me and saying, do you see this? Do you see this? And I kind of stayed quiet and let him experience it. And, he kept bringing it up. I said, yeah, I know, I hear you. And I didn't confirm it or give him that, I didn't want to just influence him in any way, but I was kind of just assuring him that, I got you. Man, it was really cool. It was really cool. And, he still talks about it. Nonstop.
I would too. If I saw a whole clan, I would. Yeah, that would.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know the whole clan dynamic or whatever. I call them tribes sometimes. I don't know, but I don't know if he has more to the tribe or clan or it's just him and his family or what. I don't know if he's the alpha or not. Sometimes I go places and I know right away that there's an alpha involved, and other times it's kind of seems like I don't know what's going on,
Yeah. So what's happening with this guy now? Is his life? You said his life changed, but how was it changed?
Oh man, he was very into this stuff. just in general, like he's very, very into it. Like he's always been watching and seeing things, and he could see things and he could talk to people, but nobody was very receptive. And I was receptive to his comments and what he was seeing. And when he saw it in person, he's a very God-loving man, very, very Christian man. He's works very, very hard. Let's just say he needed that. He needed it. He needed it in a big way, and he's still reeling from it. All he does is work. And the fact that he didn't even care what happened out there, he just kind of wanted to be out there and be a part of it. That was beautiful enough, And then to see that was the final product. There were things that happened up to that point, but I don't know. You know how it is. Like when you see it in front of your face with your own two eyes, it's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother level. I wish I had an experience like the way he did. Like where he felt safe standing next to me because, it was Bubba and his family and stuff. And I was telling him, look, put your guard down here. This is the one place you don't got to worry about nothing. Don't just live and love and experience. Don't worry about nothing that goes bump. It's okay here. It's okay here. And he did. And then, boom, shortly after.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. It rings so true too, because
well, my trust level.
There wasn't a coincidence, so they gave him that experience.
Yeah, no, he deserves it.
Yeah.
Well, I am my messages have been going nuts over here. I have a babysitter with my son right now, so
You have to go?
Yeah.
If you have to go, that's fine. You got family first, really.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I kind of said I would only be an hour, and it's been 2. So, but we kind of got the ball rolling. I didn't want to stop. So.
Yeah, maybe at another time you could come back if something fun happens, or you just feel like you want to hang out and chalk some more. Yeah, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
I'm going camping. It's my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going camping with some friends, and I'll wake up in the woods tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
I was looking for I went and got my site early. Put my stuff, my tent and everything up so nobody would take it. And I was trying to figure out what site I wanted. And, you guys will understand this. The two, Mr. Beans and Michael and Ed. But, other people wouldn't maybe not get it. But I'm looking around and, the connection between the Sasquatch and different animals or whatever, like they can see through their eyes, or they can shapeshift into them, or however that works, or well, they all kind of work, but whatever's going on at the time. So I'm looking for my campsite, and this has happened many, many times. And ravens are a big part of the connection between the Sasquatch and them. So I'm looking for my campsite, and I'm driving up, and I see 2 ravens on the ground, right in an empty spot. And I said, okay, here it is. Oh, and I'm getting hit up like just with, but yeah, but I mean, that kind of stuff is not a coincidence.
No,
I've had some very strange, not strange, beautiful. Strange is not the right word. Beautiful experiences with stuff along those lines that I could talk about for.
Tell people where they can reach you if you want to be reached. I know you're on Facebook, right? And what's your YouTube channel and anything else you want to put out there?
I mean, it's Long Island Bigfoot is my channel and my Facebook page. I haven't really been doing much on the Facebook page, but
okay, so it's Long Island what?
Bigfoot.
Long Island Bigfoot. Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Hey,
check out his channel and catch up on those 1,000 videos.
yeah. Message me. You got 1,000 videos?
1,300
I'm,
now.
jo-
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Really? That's pretty cool.
You got 1,300?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow, man.
Bean,
How long you been doing it for?
Like on YouTube, like 3 years maybe. I told you I take my job seriously, man. They want me to share, I share.
Yeah, I've got like almost 600, and I thought I was doing good.
yeah.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got your name, Michael, and I'll be in touch on Facebook and look up your stuff. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to meet you, and I'm going to
Sounds
let
good.
you all close together. Mr. Beans, thank you very much for having me. Brian, always a pleasure learning so much more. And again, Michael, thanks for teaching me a lot. I've learned even more that totally fits the common denominator of existence and experiences. And it's an honor to meet you all. So I'm going to leave you now and let you finish up. But again, thank you so much, and I'll see you again.
Thank you, Ed.
Stopping by, Ed.
Nice
So
to
I'm
meet
just
you,
gonna-
brother.
And I want to say goodbye too, and just to remind everybody that section about the rake and to go out in the woods and scream. If you got anxiety or stress or PTSD or panic attacks, if you got any of that stuff, just go into the woods and scream, and scream at a target. And that to me that was like such a jewel. Thank you so much for sharing that jewel of wisdom. The Sasquatch are teaching people how to get over PTSD and stress and stuff
Well,
like that. They're helping out.
I didn't piece it together, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that kind of work. They help me get over fear or whatever, because fear is a big controller. So I was going to say, Michael, send me all the links that you want on Messenger, and I'll put them in the YouTube.
All right.
I'll put the YouTube video.
There's nobody else out there. If they type in Long Island Bigfoot, they'll find me. It's all right. I
No, but
appreciate it.
send me that information, and I'll put it on the YouTube video so that they can see
Oh,
it.
okay. All
You know
right.
what
All
I'm
right. I
saying?
got you. Yeah, I got
Later
you.
on today, swing back by and check out the messages under the on the live feed, because you got a lot of nice things been said. So
Oh,
say
that's
hello
great.
back to them. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah, we
appreciate you all. Thank
we really
you.
appreciate having you, man. Like you and I, and we're all right on the exact same page. You know, approaching these people with respect and through the heart. That's the only way to really have a connection with them.
Yeah.
And you know,
It seems like it's always made out to be such a difficult task. Like, like all these tools and things and
No.
what you got to do and where you got to be. And you're right. You just said it. There's just with respect and through the heart. Like,
Hey, like it's as simple as this. And I'll use you as an example. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm open to meeting you, and mean it from your heart, and be respectful. And you know, you don't have to go and spend thousands of dollars on game cams and all this crap or whatever. That's how you're going to meet them. It's not technology. It's through the heart.
I just bought a game camera. I get it. Like, I just bought a drone. I get it. Like, and but I'm gonna use the game camera like for. I want to put it in the tree line by the house and like leave gifts and say, hey guys, if you want to put yourself on here, cool. And if not, like whatever, maybe I'll capture a bear or whatever. Cause I'm from Long Island. So I'm new to the Catskill Mountains, and there's wildlife everywhere, and I'm hearing it, and it's exciting for me. That's kind of why I got a game camera. If a Sasquatch pops in there, cool, but it's not going to probably happen because they're personal. They're personal. They're not, you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Like they're connecting to the individual, not to a technology, or.
Yeah. Well, they have shown up on pictures that I've taken, but it's because I say, hey, if you want to show up like you did, feel free. And sometimes they do.
No trickery. Yeah.
Yeah. No trickery, man. Just be honest with them and respectful. So, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, we really enjoyed having you. And if you want to come back and have,
sure, anytime
or whatever, I mean, you are always welcome. I'd just like to say that anybody who wants to check out my YouTube channel, and we'll put Mike's on the video. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's called Sasquatch BC, The True Story, ... or whatever those things are. the Pork and Bean Show. But if you just type in Sasquatch BC, the true story, you'll see my beautiful face on there.
I've been sharing some of your videos to my community tab on YouTube. So
yeah, well, get them to subscribe because
I'm trying. Well, maybe I'll get you guys on my channel too. So.
What?
Oh, a public service announcement. We just had our first 1,000 members of the Pork and Beans group, and yay! And I want everybody out there, new or old members, to go to that little red button on the top of the page and invite your friends. We want to get 2,000 by 2,000.
By 2,000.
That didn't come out right. That didn't come out right.
Well, I mean, hey, maybe it did because time is not linear. So
yeah, I was gonna say.
I guess in a sense, I guess it's possible.
We want
Anyway.
2,222. That's what we want.
I was trying to find a way to save you.
Yeah, we could go on for hours, Michael.
Yeah, no,
obviously,
sure.
But you go take care of your little kids there and your family and all the stuff going on. And we love you, brother. You're a brother, and feel free to stop in anytime we have a show.
Yes,
we always like with Ed and whatever. We always invite people on and stuff. So if you want to stop in, just feel free, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. So on behalf of Pork Cunningham and the world's handsomest disappearing man, Frank Oliver Beans, this has been the Pork and Beans Show. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and special thanks to Michael Colantonio for showing us a little piece of his heart and about his experiences with these amazing beans. Thank you, my brother. And there's another amazing bean back there. Oh, I love dogs.
That's Gunner.
What's his name?
Gunner.
Ah, what a nice boy. Okay, man. Thank you so much. We'll have you back on again.
All right, appreciate you.
And I say that truthfully, my friend. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Back at you, bro. Thank you.
I'm not like everybody else. I'm not like everybody else. I'm not like everybody else. I'm not like everybody else.